Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's episode of Modesty's Mortgage Masterclass. This is session number 23 on our Modesty's Mortgage Masterclass, which we bring to you every Wednesday. Another opportunity for you to join us and broaden your knowledge, your horizon, and your perception, and grab a few nuggets as it relates to the mortgage and property market. So, hi Patrick, good afternoon, welcome. So today we're going to be talking. Oh yes, brother, we are in this together. All right. So today we're going to be talking about green deals, and we're going to be giving you some more updates on what's happening in the mortgage markets. And then we're going to be presenting to you our case of the week, just where I bring to you certain practical knowledge and experience on what sort of cases we've been dealing with and what sort of responses we're getting from lenders. Just so in case you fall into that category, you know how to prepare yourself, you know what to expect, and how to go about things and how we go about these things and what lenders expect and what lenders are looking for when it comes to cases relating to that. So, once again, I'm your man, Ikenna Omezudike. I'm the director of Modesty Financial Consultants Limited. We're a financial consultants business based in Luton, United Kingdom, specialists in mortgages, all types of mortgages, and financial consulting, financial advisory services, and investment advisory services as well. All right, so let's go into the nitty-gritty. Green deals. So what is this green deal all about? And it's in the news again, but this is something that some people are not even aware of, that it exists. But I just want to bring it to limelight because it might benefit one or two landlords or homeowners, or people who own properties. What is this green deal all about? You remember on the 8th of July when the Chancellor made that fantastic announcement about stamp duty relief? Yeah, and everybody was just celebrating the stamp duty relief, and the whole property sector went agog with the news of the stamp duty relief. But something within that statement has been lost in terms of the relevance and how important it is, and that's why I want to bring that issue up, because it didn't receive as much attention as the stamp duty relief, probably because the stamp duty relief was the biggest news of the day, and that was the biggest expectation of everyone on that day. So what happened? Now the government, on that same day, announced that there will be something called Green Homes Grants. Yeah, there will be something called the Green Homes Grants. So what's this Green Homes Grant? Now this is like a £2 billion grant that the government has set aside to support homeowners and landlords and property owners who want to upgrade their houses or their properties to meet certain green criteria and to upgrade them to become more energy efficient. So the government has set aside about £2 billion to support people who want to embark on this sort of projects, and it's called a Green Deal. So it's a Green Homes Grant. It's a grant. It's not a loan. Now, what the government is proposing, or they're going to do, is that they are going to pay up to 2/3, and they'll cover up to 2/3 of the costs of that home improvement that is geared towards improving the energy efficiency of that property. So if you're looking to upgrade your property or to do some home improvements that will make that house or that home more energy efficient, the government is saying that they are going to cover more than 60% of the costs for you. That is amazing, isn't it? It's a grant. So it will come in form of a voucher, and they'll give you a voucher to cover about 2/3 of the cost of that home improvement, which will make that home more energy efficient. So this grant is available for homeowners, is available for landlords, it's available for owner-occupier homeowners, and for landlords, both social and private landlords. So the scheme will start by the end of September. But later this month, if you need some kind of advice or guidance or support towards knowing what sort of home improvements that this particular grant covers, and what sort of home improvements you should be doing on your property that will be eligible for this funding, there is a body called Simple Energy Advice. You go to a Simple Energy Advice service, you ring them up, look it up online. Simple Energy Advice Service is a government setup as well, where you receive all kinds of support and advice and guidance on the sort of home improvements you should be embarking on that is covered by this Green Homes grant. So the other thing now is households that are on low income, including those who are on disability benefits or income-based benefits, and low-income households, they can actually receive up to 100% grants on the costs of this of the home improvements geared towards energy efficiency homes. So for those who will be receiving the 2/3 who don't fall within the category of the low-income households, the government will cover 2/3 up to a maximum of £5,000. For those on low-income households and the households that are receiving like disability benefits or income support benefits, they will be receiving up to 100% voucher to cover 100% of the costs of upgrading their homes to a green home, up to a maximum of £10,000. Now that's amazing. So now the reason I'm bringing this to your notice is because I know that a lot of people don't even know that this sort of grants exists, and they don't even know that they can take advantage of it, because like I said, the news was lost in the euphoria of the stamp duty announcement, and this kind of went under the radar. And now I'm just bringing it to your landlord to say, hey, if you're a homeowner, if you're a landlord, whether you're a social or private landlord, whether you are renting out your property or you live in the property, you are entitled to this grant that's going to be kicking off by the end of September. But from this month, you can be getting advice and support from the Energy Advice Service, right, just to see what sort of home improvements you can be making. So up to £10,000 in grants you could get, depending on what level of work you are carrying out on your property. But I will break that down. I will break that down later as we go on. Now, as an example, yeah, if for example you are embarking on home improvement work on your property, say in a semi-detached or end of terrace property, worth say £4,000, the government can actually cover that cost up to £2,680. So you might just be paying £1,320 out of a cost of £4,000. That is pretty amazing. This is just based on the household that don't fall under the low income category. That's how much the government can contribute towards making your home more energy efficient. This could potentially save an average homeowner about £200 a year in energy bills. Because the essence of doing this, some might be asking, what's the point in doing this? It's basically to make your home more energy efficient. And if that home is more energy efficient, it simply means that you'll be spending less on electricity and gas. You can keep the house can be warmer during winter, improving the health of people. So saving on energy bills and then helping the government meet their energy, their Green Deal quota, or their energy saving quota for the year. Because remember that the UK government is at the forefront of the fight and the campaign for a greener earth. So there is a target that the government is looking to hit, and they believe that if every household becomes energy efficient, it will help the government hit that target and hit that quota easily. So that's why the government is making this huge investment of £2 billion into making homes. And this will basically help support about 600,000 homes in England alone to become greener, right? And the greener the homes become, the more energy efficient every home becomes, the greener our environment, the better for the environment. So apart from this particular policy supporting other businesses that are around it, like builders, plumbers, and the tradesmen who are going to be doing this work. This is also about helping Britain to become greener and save on energy bills. Okay, so the whole essence of that is just to reduce the fuel poverty, to reduce fuel poverty and make homes more energy efficient and cutting greenhouse emissions. So, like I've said before, it's going to support up to 600,000 homes by doing this. Imagine 600,000 homes becoming more energy efficient through the help of the government. This is another money pumped into the economy to also help, rejig the UK economy and give the economy some kind of boost again, because builders and plumbers and all these tradesmen who are going to be embarking on this massive work nationwide, you can imagine how much effect or impact that could have on them and their businesses. So those on low income and those households on low income and on disability benefits, these poor households or these low income households would benefit from, the government has earmarked about £500 million for households that fall within this category. So, and there has been a little bit of there has been some more clarification around this just this week. So now this is how it works. See, the energy efficiency measures that the governments are going to cover in this are divided into two categories. So there's a primary and there's a secondary category, right? So to qualify for the secondary measures, to qualify for funding for the secondary measures, the government is insisting that you have to do the primary measures first. You have to embark on the work that is under the primary measures first before you qualify for funding for the secondary measures. And then the amount that the government will fund you for the secondary measures must not exceed the amount for which they supported you in the primary measures. Okay, so if the government supported you with £2,000 to do the primary things, the ones that fall under the primary categories, you cannot get more than £2,000 when you want to embark on the work that is covered by the secondary measures. So if you receive £1,000 grant in primary measure, you can't receive more than £1,000 in the secondary measures. So what are the primary measures? What are the things that made up the primary categories or the primary list, which you need to do first before you get onto the secondary one? So they are made up of the following: insulation, like solid wall, cavity wall, roof insulation, and all sorts of insulation work. These are under the primary categories. The other one is low carbon heating, like fitting of air source pumps and ground source heating pumps. These are all primary categories. Or if you are fitting a solar thermal, these are primary things that the government is insisting you need to do first before they can fund you for the secondary category. It doesn't mean you will not receive funding for this primary category. If you have any of these primary things to do, you can apply for this grant and the government can fund 2/3 of it, or up to £10,000 worth of it if you fall in a poor household category. And then the secondary measures, the list and the secondary measures includes things like double or triple glazing. If you are trying to replace your single glazing doors and windows and you are trying to upgrade them to either double or triple glazing, those are secondary measures. And then other things like upgrading to energy efficient doors, if you are looking to change your doors to a more energy efficient doors, if you are looking to install thermostats and heating controls, if you are looking to insulate your hot water tanks, and if you are doing a draft proofing work. Now these are secondary measures. So before you embark on the secondary measures, the government is saying you've got to do the primary measures first. They can fund you for the primary measures, and then they can also fund you for those secondary measures. So you cannot just go to the government and say, please, I want to change my doors, and I want to upgrade my windows to double or triple glazing. I need this grant. If you haven't done those primary things, if they are not in place yet, you cannot get grants for those secondary things. Just to make sure that the basic things are taken care of before you get to the next level of the home efficiency arrangement. Now, some people will be asking, all this work, who is going to be doing all this work, and how are we even sure that this work will be done up to standard? Now, on the quality of work, what the government have done is that they have announced that all the tradesmen who are going to be carrying out work that will be benefiting from this government grant has to be trust mark and micro generation certification scheme MCS accredited. So any builder, any plumber, any tradesman who is going to be carrying out work on your property, and that work is going to be benefiting from the government grants, has to be trust mark accredited or has to be micro generation certification scheme accredited. So you must make sure of that. If you're not sure of that, when you ring up the energy advice service, they can recommend some local tradesmen within your area who are qualified to carry out that work, and then you can select from the list they have given to you to decide who carries out the work. So once that work is decided, once you decide what you need to do, and you have agreed with the tradesman who's going to do that work, the voucher will now be raised by the end of September for that work to be carried out. So this is basically meant to boost confidence in homeowners and consumers who are going to be taking part in this grant or who are going to be benefiting from this, to make sure and to have that peace of mind that the work that is done is up to the required technical standard. Now, this certification ensures that these tradesmen and these builders and these workers are technically competent and they observe safe trading practices, which means when they come to do that work on behalf of the government or in conjunction with the government, you will be sure that people who are coming to do the work in your house, they have been tested, they have been vetted, and they have been verified to be, to have these accreditations, meaning that they meet up to that standard. So it's meant to instill confidence in the consumers, because consumer confidence is very key to, the regeneration of the UK economy. Now, if the consumers are not confident of what they are getting, it basically makes them shy away from getting involved in that scheme at all. So once that work is agreed, and then the voucher will be raised for the work to carry on from the end of September. So how does this really help these green home grants? What it will do is that it will help landlords to meet the new energy efficiency requirements for properties that they are renting. For example, if you've got properties that you're renting and you're a landlord, and you want to upgrade those properties to become energy efficient, this grant will help you achieve that. Meaning that your tenants will no longer be living in a cold house when the house is supposed to be warm, and there won't be greenhouse emissions. The heat will not be escaping, while the house is being heated, and it will reduce greenhouse emissions as well. So it helps landlords keep their properties energy efficient, and especially landlords. Since April this year, it has been illegal for any landlord to rent out a property that has an EPC, that has energy performance certificate of below E. Every property in this country, their energy performance is rated from A to G. So if it's below E, say it's anything below E, and it's a property you want to rent, the government is saying it's illegal for you to rent that property if the energy performance certificate shows that it's below E. So from F downwards is no longer allowed. The minimum requirement is that at least that property must have an EPC level of E. So this grant will help landlords who are struggling in that respect to do the things that they need to do in that property to make it more energy efficient and make it more compliant for them to rent out that property. And then the indication from the government is that by 2025, they are looking to raise that level from E to D. And then by 2030, they are looking to raise that minimum level to C. So you can see that, landlords are a little bit under pressure to make sure that their properties are energy efficient. So if you're moving into a new property, request to see the EPC certificate and make sure that the EPC certificate, the level is not below E. If it's below E, it simply means that that property is not energy efficient. There's probability that there might be molds and drafts, appearing on the property, or you might be cold in that property. So it is illegal now to rent any property that has an EPC level of below E. Again, what does this do? It also helps consumers. Even if you're not a landlord, but you own your own property, it saves you money on your energy bill. By taking on this grant helps you to save money on your energy bill, and you could save as much as £200 a year on your energy bill by making your home more energy efficient. So the triple benefit for energy efficient homes basically is that it will improve the health of the people living in the property. It will help them save money on their energy bills, and it will help the government meet their carbon reduction targets. So these are like the triple benefits that this one single grant can help both the government, the people living in property, and the homeowners to achieve, and also the landlords. Okay, so that is what the Green Home Grants is all about. So if you are a landlord or if you're a homeowner and you've been thinking of doing this thing to make your home more energy efficient, the grant is there for you to apply. Make the inquiries first, this month, and see what you need to do, and then apply for those grants. You could get grants of up to £10,000 depending on what category your household falls under. So there you go. The information is right out there, and I've given you that information. I cannot take the action for you. The action is left for you to take and do what you've got to do. All right? Don't say I didn't tell you. Don't say, hey, this thing came out and nobody ever told us that we were eligible for that. Now you know. The rest rests on you. Okay? Now, let's talk about another something else that's been happening in the mortgage markets recently. You see, July has been the busiest month yet in this 2020 for mortgage searches. Okay, and trust me as a mortgage broker when I say that mortgage brokers have never been this busy. It has been one heck of a period since after the lockdown has been lifted. So a report from 27 Tech, a fintech company that supports mortgage brokers, and they provide platform for mortgage brokers to make researches on products and lenders that they are going to be recommending for their clients based on the criteria that they are looking to satisfy. So 27 Tech provides that platform. So they have all the data about the number of searches and how much activity there has been going on in terms of mortgage searches. So 27 Tech released this data about mortgage searches just to give us an indication of what has been happening in the mortgage market and how activities have been like in the mortgage market. So but that report, that data from 27 Tech shows an increased level of interest in the housing sector by virtue of the number of searches that has been carried out on that platform for mortgages of different categories. Now, this data reveals that there has been a 22% increase in searches for both purchase and remortgages in July alone. That is 3% more than it was last month. So there's been a 22% increase in the searches for both purchase and remortgages. So 3% improvement from June. And then if you look at the sheer number of searches in July alone, there were over 916,000 searches for purchase property, for purchase mortgages alone, and then about 438,000 searches in July for remortgages. That is astronomical, because some people sit down and they think that nothing is happening, and that people are getting on with their lives and getting on to the property market. And, the interest in the property and the housing sector has never been this high. So since after the lockdown all the data has been coming out, has been supporting the fact that there has been increased interest and increased activity in the housing sector. And yet, this is another statistic, another data to back that up. So you see, for first-time buyers, according to this data from 27 Tech, for first-time buyer, the searches went up by 19.3%. It was a slight increase from what it was in June. In June, it was 18.9% of the search. So of all the searches that happened in that period, 19.3% of them were for first-time buyer mortgages. Now, astonishingly, mortgage searches, right? Astonishingly, mortgage searches for purchase homes made up 68% of these searches. Mortgage searches for purchase mortgages made up about 68% of total searches. So, meaning that people are really looking to buy. We're not talking about remortgages here. We're just talking about purchases. People looking to buy properties. 68% of all the searches that happened in July were for purchase mortgages. We're not even talking about remortgages yet. And that's the highest level of searches for purchase mortgages in living memory. Nothing like that in living memory has ever been experienced in July. July has been a very, very busy, crazy month in terms of mortgage activities and activities in the housing sector. Now, if you compare that 68% to the previous months in June, we had about 64% of the searches being for purchase mortgages in June. And then in May, it was 45% in May. So you can see that just within 2 months, the level of interest and increase in activities in searches for purchase mortgages alone has increased by almost 50%. Okay, now the breakdown shows that in every single mortgage category, there has been an increase. Now let's look at the different categories here that this particular data has touched on. Now for standard residential mortgage, which is just the residential mortgages for standard residential properties, where either you are buying for family or you're buying for yourself, just your normal property purchase where you want to buy and live in with yourself, by yourself or with your family. So for standard residential mortgages, there has been an increase of about 16% for standard residential mortgage searches. For buy-to-lets, there has been an 11% increase in searches for mortgages for buy-to-lets. For shared equity or help-to-buy scheme, there has been an increase of about 23%, in searches for mortgages relating to help-to-buy and shared equity. For shared ownership, it's been just about 8% increase in searches. And then for let-to-buy, it's been 29%. Now, let-to-buy is basically the mortgage you get on a property that you're moving out of, but then you want to rent that property out. So you're converting that mortgage on that property from a residential mortgage to a buy-to-let. So it is called let-to-buy because you want to rent it out, take a mortgage on it, maybe draw some capital from there, and then buy another property where you want to. So that's called a let-to-buy. Ordinarily, it is still standard a buy-to-let, but because you have lived in that property before, it is called a regulated buy-to-let mortgage. So it becomes a regulated. It's not your usual buy-to-let because it now becomes a regulated buy-to-let. You are like an accidental landlord. You didn't just set out to go and buy a property to rent. You just happen to have this property and you're moving out of it. You don't want to sell it. You want to keep it. So you decided to rent it out. So you now convert the mortgage on that property to a buy-to-let mortgage. So that's why it's called a let-to-buy mortgage. So there has been an increase in searches for this category of mortgage by 29%, in July alone. So on first-time buyer, the data shows that over 10,000 first-time buyer mortgage searches happen every single day. Over 10,000 first-to-buy mortgage searches happen every single day. And of the 10 busiest days for first-time buyer searches, 10 of those days are in July. 10 of the busiest days for searches of first-time buyers happened in July. So why is July so peculiar? What's happened? What's kickstarted all these things? You know, there are multiple things that we can lay our hands on and say that these are the things. But one striking thing to me that stands out is the stamp duty relief announcement by the Chancellor. Remember, that announcement was made on the 8th of July. So it kind of kickstarted a huge wave and onslaught of, property activities and property interests. And a lot of people now, people who were not so sure of whether they wanted to move or not, maybe whether they wanted to upgrade to a bigger property from where they are living, they can now confidently upgrade to a bigger property because they know that up to £500,000 there will be no stamp duty payable. So they know that they can now save money on stamp duty. And also people are now becoming confident of bringing their properties to the market to say, yeah, I want to sell so that I can move on. Because they now know that there are more people out there who are willing to buy properties because of the stamp duty relief. Now that is just one part of the story. It has really reinvigorated the property market. It has rekindled interest in the property market in people who have been, like blowing hot and cold, not too sure whether to move or not to move. Now people can now make decisive decision to say yes, we are going for it because of that incentive. But I've been saying it almost every time here on this program that look, people are no longer just sitting down and waiting. The lockdown happened for 3 months. A lot of people were locked in their flats for 3 months. They couldn't get out. They were just sitting there. So the moment they had the opportunity to get out, they started thinking, how can I be locked in this flat for 3 months? I'm going to look for somewhere that has much, greener space and outdoor space for playing and relaxing and gardening. So people are beginning to explore other options, other living options around them. And that's kind of rekindled their interest to go out there and look for properties that they would like to purchase and live in. So there is the zeal and there is that desire in people to basically upgrade from where they are and get onto something better. So it has really pushed the activities in the housing market further once more. Again, I mentioned some time ago that people are feeling a little bit wealthy at this moment in time because of the furlough scheme, because of bounce back loan, because of all the interventions that the government made. Some people are in a better financial position. In fact, the lockdown have placed some people in a better financial position, trust me, because they have not been embarking on all the normal expenditures that they used to embark on when they were working. For example, train fares, going to work, cost of transportation, fueling the car. Sometimes the car will break down because it's always on the road, and then they have to go to the mechanic to fix it. And people don't shop as much as they used to. So people are actually saving more money during lockdown than they were saving, pre-lockdown, because even the furloughed pay they have been receiving, they haven't been spending that much out of that. So they have been saving more. So people now feel they're in a better financial position to do things that they wouldn't have been able to do. So we have seen and heard people bringing forward their decision to buy a property by as much as 6 months forward. Saying, we would have done this 6 months from now, but now we feel we can do it now. Let's bring it forward and we'll do it now. So the surge in activities in July is not surprising. The surprising thing is, the extent. That's the biggest the biggest surge in property activities in living memory. So August is not looking any different, to be honest with you. So first-time buyers, especially, they are taking their chances, they are plodding on, even though there is limited mortgage options for first-time buyers on the market, but it's not deterring them. I mean, you stand a better chance of securing a first-time buyer mortgage now if you have 15% deposit. 5% deposit no longer cuts it unless you are looking to buy through the Help to Buy scheme, which a lot of first-time buyers are taking advantage of now. 90% mortgages, yeah, just a few of them in the market now, but 85% mortgages gives you more option as a first-time buyer. Unfortunately, that's where first-time buyers have found themselves now, because lenders are still not too sure of how much risk they want to take as far as mortgages and lending are concerned. But hey, the signs are there in the market that the market is there, the demand is there, and it's an open invitation to lenders to get involved once again in this high loan to value market. Okay, then the other striking thing that I wanted to touch on is the increase in the let to buy searches. I mentioned let to buy and what it means. So it basically means that people who already own a home, and from the data that I just listed, the let to buy scheme, the let to buy category of the mortgage has the highest increase of 29%. So it just people who already live in a property who are looking to either upgrade or even downsize. There is more activity in that area because people are now more confident to move. So that let to buy indication is that people are now willing to move from where they were to somewhere else. So it just corroborates what I've been saying, that people are keen to move on with their lives and do things that they would like to do, irrespective of what the situation looks like. They just want to get on with their lives and get on with it. Okay, so in general, the mortgage market is experiencing a very, very significant increase in activity, and the property market is receiving this boost and this boom. How long it's going to last, we don't know. Whether it's going to last very long, we don't know. But at the moment, we don't see any sign of that slowing down. At the moment, especially with the limited window of stamp duty relief, everybody wants to make sure that they do their property deals within this limited window of stamp duty relief, especially those who know that the property values that they are looking at will fall outside of that relief criteria by the end of March next year. So everybody just wants to get everything done within this window and make sure that they take full advantage of that. Okay, so our case of the week, quickly before I go, is around mortgage applicants who have limited leave to remain in the UK. Right, I've had a few inquiries and a few questions around that, people who say, oh, I haven't got indefinite leave to remain, can I get a mortgage in the UK? The answer is potentially yes, you can get a mortgage if you have limited leave to remain and you haven't got your indefinite leave to remain. But there are certain criteria that certain lenders place on that. There are lenders who will take, in lieu of your permanent right to reside, if you can prove that you have worked in this country for up to 3 years by way of producing your 3 years worth of P60 or 3 years worth of SA3 if you are self-employed. There is one lender that I know really who can lend you up to 85% loan to value without any other strings attached. They will treat it like you have permanent rights to reside if you can show 3 years worth of work experience and work history by virtue of your 3 years P60 or 3 years SA302. If you can prove that, they can lend you up to 85% loan to value and treat it like you have a permanent right to reside. Yeah, subject to you meeting other criteria for that lender. That means your income and your affordability must all match up and you have your deposits sorted. Okay, the other lenders who will take this have other conditions attached to it. Some lenders will accept 3 years work history by virtue of P60 for 3 years, but they will only lend you up to 75% loan to value, which means you have to come up with 25% deposit. So if you have 25% deposits and you have 3 years work history that you can prove, yes, you stand a chance. Then there are other lenders who, apart from accepting your 25% deposits, lending you 75% loan to value, they will require that you earn a minimum of £75,000 for them to consider that application. I can hear somebody screaming already. Don't scream. It doesn't it doesn't apply to you if you're not going through that lender. So there are other lenders who will not require you to earn a minimum of £75,000, but they will take 25% deposit. So in summary, if you haven't got indefinite leave to remain sorted, if you haven't got indefinite leave to remain in the UK, but you've been here for more than 3 years and you worked here for more than 3 years, you could potentially be able to get a mortgage as far as these lenders' criteria I mentioned here remains what they are at the time you are applying. So whenever you want to make that application, we can look at what the criteria are and see whether they have changed or whether they remain the same. But as I'm talking to you now, these are the current situations and status and requirements and criteria from these lenders if you are on a limited leave to remain visa. All right, folks, this is where we're going to round it up today. And thank you very much for being here today. And thank you very much for listening and for watching. And we really appreciate your feedbacks. Please feel free to let us know what you think about this, whether it's helped you and how it's helped you. Your feedback are very, very important to us. And very importantly, if this video, this session has helped you, feel free to share it on your social media pages. There might be somebody on your timeline or within your friends, your friendship circle who might actually benefit from that. And the more we share this video widely, the better it becomes for everybody. And so we can bring you, better and higher quality deliveries and sessions in the future. And the merrier. That's what we're looking for. We want more people to be helped. We want more people to be informed. We want more people to be educated around the world of properties and mortgages as it relates to the UK property market. So I'm going to see you again on Monday during our Modesty's Money Masterclass. And I'm going to see you again next week, Wednesday, for another session of the Modesty's Mortgage Masterclass. Until then, take care. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Hey, goodbye. Love you all. Bye now.